他叫艾瑞克，中文名聂子睿，来自美国密歇根州，今年40岁，是中国日报社的一名美籍专家，职业记者。
I have about 7 stacks of newspapers like this from all 17 years. Of course, I've written articles and I've done a lot of videos, with hundreds of millions of views. This is very interesting. If you see these words here written in calligraphy and innovation have helped to transform the country.
现如今，他把家安在北京，但在17年前，聂子睿从未想过自己会来到中国工作生活。
I never really planned on coming to China at first. Never even thought about Asia, let alone China.
聂子睿出生在美国密歇根州的农村，少年时就立志成为一名记者。
When I was 18, 9/11 took place, and at that time, I determined that I wanted to become a conflict reporter.
2005年，即将从大学毕业的聂子睿意外地得到了一次实习机会，那是由中国日报社和美国中密歇根大学发起的一次交换生计划。
It went very well. They invited me back when I graduated in 2006, and I thought, okay.
虽然接受了这份工作，但聂子睿心中并没有忘记自己的理想。他的计划是先在中国工作2年，积累些经验，然后再去当战地记者。
Well, after 2 years, okay, now it's time for the Beijing Olympics. No foreign journalist would leave China right before the Beijing Olympics. So my plan was, okay, I'll just stay for the Olympics, then I'll go do the war reporting. May of that year, I was actually supposed to end up going on a business trip, which I ended up rescheduling, so I could go back and marry my wife, who's now my wife. That trip would have been to Sichuan, and that's when the Wenchuan quake struck. And that left me again with many questions of, butterfly effect, survivor's guilt, these sorts of things, very curious as to what would have happened if I had gone.
从美国回来后，思考再三，聂子睿向报社申请，前往震中做灾后救援报道。
Making 15 trips, totaling more than 8 months in the quake zone. But what I saw was that China was able to achieve a miracle in terms of the rescue and the recovery. And I knew it was real because I was there on the ground and I was seeing it myself with my own eyes. And that was when I really determined I'm going to stay in China. There's something really valuable, worth going on here. I'm going to stay and I'm going to tell this story.
汶川地震报道结束后，聂子睿开始把足迹遍布全国各地，他的目光更多地聚焦在那些更为偏远的地区。2010年，玉树地震发生后，聂子睿又赶到了青海，报道灾后重建工作。
The thing about Yushu is, it was a place that was desperately poor.
在2011年，青海省玉树藏族自治州曲麻来县叶格乡的400户人家中，只有大约20户能用上电。而在乡里唯一的一所小学里，孩子们还从未感受过电能给生活所带来的便利。
All they needed was a solar panel that cost 4,000 yuan. When I got there, I came to realize I wasn't actually putting the solar panels in the school, but rather in 7 tents that 78 children called their dorms, and they slept on boards. And this is a place where it snows all but 6 weeks a year. There's a reason it's called the planet's third pole. And I came to understand the dire needs there that went far beyond this one solar panel. You come to realize, actually, is that, what poverty is it's the multiplier of all vulnerabilities, and that includes 2 earthquakes.
在玉树的经历让聂子睿发现，比起走出灾难，如何去战胜贫困是一项更伟大的事业。脱贫攻坚，全面建成小康社会，凝聚了全国人民的共同心愿。2012年，作为报社记者，聂子睿也代表中国日报社联合当地政府发起了一个公益项目， 他们通过安装太阳能电池板，给更多高原上的学校送去了光明。此外，还送去了书籍、药品、衣物等必需品。政府则在改善基础设施条件、提高老百姓就业、收入等方面投入了长期且巨大的人力、物力、财力。几年后，当他再次去往玉树时，发现改变已然天翻地覆。这些年，聂子睿从来没有停下过脚步，足迹遍布中国上百个贫困乡村、县镇，记录那里的人们为了摆脱贫困所书写下的故事。聂子睿觉得，中国的扶贫工作就像是个奇迹，一个他从来没有见过的奇迹。
What China has done, its poverty alleviation, in terms of its development, is alleviate human suffering on a scale that nobody even thought possible. It is unprecedented in human history in scale, in scope, and speed. And as a human, all of us, whoever you are, wherever you are, should care about this. Chinese people, I think, should be very proud of this.
Since I'm very happy to be here today, with you guys in particular, is I know that we, all of us, would have easily
这2年
100+ reasons.
聂子睿更多地穿梭在各种讲座和活动现场，分享他的经历和故事。他把自己在中国的所闻所见都记录了下来，写成了一本书。这本书被翻译成中文、意大利文等多个版本，销量出乎意料好。而比起销量，在聂子睿看来更有价值的是，许多外国人在看了之后，改变了对中国原有的看法。
I live in the United States, and I'm a huge fan of Eric Nielsen's Closer to Heaven.
So it was a great read and taught me a lot about China and
give whoever reads it a different insight, different viewpoint into what China is like.
Hey, 你好. Since this has become home for my wife and I, and for our children, it's where they're born and raised, it's the country that they know as home more than anywhere else. Our children attend local school. You know, they're little blonde-haired, blue-eyed kids. They're the only foreigners going to this. Our kids both have studied wushu, Taolu wushu, since they were very young, about 3 years old. And they also study Sanda, and they've inspired me to also start studying Sanda. I find a lot of Chinese friends don't even know that Sanda comes from China, that you could actually truly use too for self-defense. Fortunately, China is extremely safe, so I don't think they would ever need to use such a thing. When my kids were very young, they could only speak Chinese. My son misspeaks a little bit when he says that, you know, we're half Chinese. We're very happy that, you know, this year we all were able to finally get our permanent residency.
Yeah. 好的，您的材料来了吗？
有，来了。
好的。
哎，好。It has been useful in many other wonderful ways, from banking to travel, so that we can be secure in planning our future in China, to do what we can to enjoy raising our kids here and to see what kind of future they might have in China.
I didn't think of it earlier because I'm
No.
Scram.
He's not saying like once you learn.
When I first arrived in China 17 years ago, it was much earlier in its development process in a way that I couldn't even imagine, that China would have achieved what it has by now. This is the story of the year, it's the story of the decade, it's the story of the century. And it's not just a China story, it's a human story. And you know, one of the things I've come to realize the longer that I'm here and the deeper I kind of dig into the China story is that I often liken it to an onion. You peel off one layer and you discover another layer beneath. And I think you could peel for your entire life and never reach the center. However, I plan to spend, hopefully, the rest of my life trying to get as close as I can. I am Eric Nielsen, and this is me and my Chinese story.